Hi, I'm Katie from Katie Cat Studio. In this tutorial, I'm going to teach you 9 foundational embroidery stitches in about 10 minutes. Those stitches include the running stitch, the chain stitch, the back stitch, the stem stitch, the blanket stitch, French knot, wagon wheel, a leaf stitch, and a satin stitch. If you're only interested in one or a couple of these stitches, feel free to jump around to the different chapters. Chapter timestamps are in the description. Now, let's start embroidering. To practice the running stitch, penetrate the fabric from the back and pull the thread through. On your first stitch, leave about a 1-inch tail on the back side to secure stitches. On the front, penetrate the fabric with the needle and pull the thread through. Make sure not to pull too tight, as this will create fabric puckering. Next, penetrate the fabric from the back, creating a stitch on the back side about the same length as the one on the front, and then repeat this process over and over. The running stitch is the most basic and arguably the most important embroidery stitch because it will become the foundation of your embroidery practice. Mastering this stitch will allow you to easily grasp ideas and concepts around other stitches. For the chain stitch, bring the needle and thread up from the back and then penetrate the fabric on the front side at the same spot, and then pull the thread through, but leaving a small loop on the top. Next, penetrate the fabric from the back and pull the needle and thread through the loop and pull the loop snug. Repeat this process to form a chain. Stitches can be as long or as short as you prefer. For the back stitch, bring the needle and the thread up through the back of the fabric as you would for a running stitch. Next, insert the needle on the top of the fabric to the left and into the same hole as the previous stitch. Continue moving in a forward stitch motion on the back side of the fabric while moving backwards on the top. For the stem stitch, bring the needle and the thread through the back of the fabric and then penetrate the front about 2 stitch lengths forward. Pull the thread through, but leave it loose so that you can penetrate the back side just before the previous stitch and then pull it taut. Repeat these steps for your desired length. The stem stitch is also known as an outline stitch, but because it's commonly used to create stems and floral projects, we'll stick with the stem nomenclature. The stem stitch is similar to the back stitch, however, here you move forward on the top of the fabric while stitching backwards on the bottom side. The basic blanket stitch is one of my favorite stitches for finishing edges, especially on felt projects. The blanket stitch is actually stitched in 2 parallel lines at once. First, penetrate the back and bring the needle and thread through on the lower line. Then, insert the needle on the upper line a stitch length distance away. Pull the thread through, leaving a small loop on the top. Next, bring the needle and the thread through the fabric from the back on the lower line, making sure the loop is at the right side of the needle. Then, pull the thread taut. Repeat these steps until you've reached your desired length. The French knot is a little bit different than the other stitches, as each knot can stand alone. Bring the needle and thread up through the back of the fabric, then, holding the thread taut with your free hand, wrap it around the needle twice. Next, carefully insert the needle into the fabric near the first hole and pull through. Pulling the thread through should create a raised knot on the top side of the fabric. French knots can be made larger by increasing the number of twists around the needle. Now, you'll notice that making the French knots takes quite a bit of practice, mostly because you need 2 hands to make the knot and maneuvering the hoop at the same time can become cumbersome. But just keep practicing, you'll get it. I love the wagon wheel stitch because it creates the perfect rows. First, draw a circle to use as a template. Then, make 5 straight stitches of equal size and spacing that meet in the middle of the circle. Next, penetrate the back of the fabric near the center of the circle and bring the thread all the way through. Then weave the needle and the thread under and over the straight stitches. Continue weaving all the way around the circle until each straight stitch disappears under the weave. When you're finished with the rows, insert the needle into the fabric just underneath the finished rows and pull the remaining thread through. My favorite leaves are made using the leaf stitch. This adds a little bit more style and intricacy into any piece. First, draw an outline of the size and shape of leaf that you desire. Then start at the tip of the leaf and work your way down. Bring the needle and the thread up through the bottom of the fabric at the tip of the leaf and make a straight stitch about half the way down to the bottom. Next, bring the needle and thread through the bottom of the fabric just to the left of the initial stitch. Penetrate the top of the fabric just below the initial straight stitch. Then bring the needle and thread through the bottom of the fabric just to the right of the initial straight stitch, and finish by bringing the needle and thread through the top of the fabric just under the last stitch. Continue this alternating pattern until the entire leaf is filled in. The satin stitch is one of the best stitches for filling in shapes and filling them in quickly. First, bring the needle and the thread up at the outer edge of the shape outline. Next, insert the needle at the outer edge of the other side of the shape and pull the thread through. Continue until the shape is completely filled in. Thanks so much for watching. If you like this video, I'd love to hear what you think. Leave a comment and help me out by subscribing. I'll see you in the next video, and remember, done is better than perfect.